Look at how the glow is interacting with the camera. Sitting here for a second trying to figure out what was going on. They're glow-in-the-dark stickers. It's not white balance. Anyways, guys, it's a Scepter. It's the first big one I've made. Peel. Thank you. This one is going to you. Oh, I heard that air tightness and that seal. Different temperature in here in the shop than in the house. So this is number 41. It's the first large one I've ever made. I don't share many things here on YouTube that I make myself. I'm gonna hijack some buttons that I made here. This is how this will be getting shipped out once I make some more crystallized ZrTi buttons to accompany this thing. So I guess let's get it out here. Does it fit on screen? It does. I'm gonna close the case back up and move it to the side. So yeah, I made this thing. This is number 41. It is all crystallized ZrTi. Let's go ahead and disassemble it here. So it's got 3 pieces. You got the handle that has an R188 bearing post. It's been etched and flamed. Oh, much more than that, but those are the final finishes. Flamed, etched, and then flamed one more time to get the colors on the crystallized titanium. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. The swoop section, I don't really know what else to call it. This is the first Scepter I've made where my hand only contacts the swoop. Usually either on the bottom a little bit or maybe up in the details a little bit. So it's kind of cool how that is. I like that a lot, really. I guess I'll send you these buttons, huh? For some demonstrations. So yeah, this is the first one I have made that has a bearing post on the handle and on the spin cap retainer piece that has a split post. So each side is 80 thousandths in diameter. I used to do them a single post 190 thousandths. Sorry, not in diameter, in length. These are 80 thousandths in length. So that's like a spinner button for the very reason of being able to, well, one, attach a button to it, but more importantly, attach a spinner and that spinner's button to the Scepter. You could of course also do the spin cap retainer if you wanted a spike on top, but I think it's also kind of cool that it will table spin now. We're almost centered in frame. Feel. Something I have wanted to address with you. Whenever you play with it in this configuration, be careful of the axial forces that you are imparting on this bearing. You know, usually when you have buttons on a spinner, you know, that's a pretty short lever, right? You can't put a lot of side torque on the bearing, you know, well within the range of what it can tolerate. I assume with the handle this long, you know, this is, I think it's like 6 inches or something. If you have this in your hand and you put a lot of up or down force with your thumb, or if you drop it or something while you're holding this, I suspect you could either damage a bearing or knock it loose from the spinner body bore. So that's just something to take note of. You know, levers are powerful. So even though you're not generating that much force on it, it's much more than you generally would be able to than pinching button width, standard button width. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're playing with it in this configuration, and anyone else that has their Scepters and is watching this. Yeah, please be careful of that. Just something I'm not sure I've publicly said, and I mean, I guess I didn't even really think about it at first. Like, in my brain, like, of course, yes, be careful, but I think I should tell you guys as customers and collectors that it is possible that you could damage a bearing with such a long handle attached to one. Okay, anyways, let's get to talking about spin caps and stuffs and some of the differences about this Scepter, things I'm proud of. One thing that's different is this little section that's normally covered by the spin cap. I decided just to put a little concave, like turned bit in there with 2 grooves, just so it has a little something extra, so whenever you're seeing it with the spin cap off and it's still on a spinner, you've got a, you know, some continued detail going up the length of the handle. The spin cap. Yeah, I think I'm done with the handle. Guess there are 1, 2 Dremel milled sections. Yeah, I didn't mention those in the original post with it. The spin cap is 1.01 inches in diameter. It's housing a FZ Essentials HC3 hybrid ceramic bearing. There's 10 silicone nitride balls with a crown stainless steel retainer. Lovely, lovely bearings with really tight tolerances. I'm trying to hold it in a way you can really see in there. There we go. It goes in only one way. The bore is smaller on this side, so it has a nice shelf to sit into and sit in the proper spot inside the bore, inside the spinner, so the mass is distributed mostly to the center. I do my best to kind of guesstimate, since this is a organic shape. I'm putting it in the center, at least in the center of mass, you know, this way. Yeah, the tolerances between the bore here and the handle are quite tight. I don't know, is this going to show on camera? Maybe. I don't know if you can see in there. Right? Yeah, maybe. Super close, anyways. There's like maybe 15 thousandths of clearance. Some bearings are even too loose in their tolerances to allow this to spin freely whenever it was being torqued. You know, there's not the retainer on, so you can see it moving a lot right here. Some bearings allowed this to happen too much. This one did not, and it also just sounded really good in here. Carried those same tolerances over to the spin cap retainer. When this is on, I mean, you really can't even see down in there. It basically protects the bearing fully. There's like, I'd say the 12 or 15 thousandths from this largest diameter to this internal diameter, and then like another 10 thousandths from this lip to that internal lip of stack height. Super, super tight tolerances, just I don't know, kind of a personal challenge. It's kind of unnecessary, but you know, I could open it up a little bit more and give myself a little bit more space. Make things a little easier, but it just looks so cool whenever everything is so tight together. You know, if there's big gaps, it can kind of almost seem obvious how it was made. Whenever things are in super tight tolerances, it can be a little more confusing for someone to take a gander at and just be like, huh, how was that made? Something with Scepters, depending on where you hold them and how tight you're gripping it, you get different sounds. Pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, this bearing sounds dirty somehow. I guess we're gonna clean it on camera here. I can kind of demonstrate how that is done on a Scepter, because you can't exactly remove the bearing without damaging the bearing, because, well, that's how I make them. It's not on purpose, but it's my limitations with my machines and my skills and how I want the spin caps to actually look with having a smaller hole in the top. So you have to push on the inner race if you want to get it out. So what I'm gonna do, got it right here behind me, that's just dandy. Got a 99% isopropyl alcohol here in a container, well, spray bottle. And I'm just going to spray the bearing at an angle on both sides, and I'm going to try to get this stream in between the grooves and hitting the balls, and I want the bearing to be spinning. So that debris is getting swirled around and hopefully washed out by the isopropyl alcohol, and then we're going to blow dry and spin dry using the little spin cap retainer here. So yeah, 1 second. If you're watching with headphones or something, this will be when you want to mute yourself. Until you see me coming back. 1 second. Alright. That crunched up. This over here. Grab my retainer. And get this hairdryer going. All I was doing there was holding the hairdryer pointed upwards and had this spinning on this side and on this side until it was spinning freely, and you know, to me that means all the alcohol has evaporated out. There's a reassembly. That sounds better. Man, living in a house with dogs, even though it's been in this airtight case, I swear, maybe it was whenever I was transferring it to the case. Gotta be careful sometimes. Really didn't want to have to do that in the middle of this video, but here we are, right? I gotta keep it pristine. I'm really proud of this thing. I guess on the spin cap, there's some Dremel milling up here. Look at I did like a bit of an offset pattern. There's 2 different types of cuts. 3 of them are deeper than the other 3. Yeah. They're definitely edgy, but they are not going to cut you kind of sharp. But then even so, when you have the spin cap retainer in place, and you go up here to touch this, you can't really get in there unless you really dig to get in there. And I mean, it's just not how it fits in your hand, you know? So it's allowed to look cool and be edgy and not be dangerous. Spinning it this way, all parts are concentric. It's gonna be hard to kind of show on camera. It's a lot of axial load on the bearing, as you can see, how much it's slowing down there. But yeah, it spins really good and true. Makes a cool sound this way. Spin it upside down this way too. What's really cool with all the colors mixing together, you can see like pink, green, blue, pink, green, purple, kind of blue and green. There's definitely a mix that you see where the colors are more concentrated in certain areas. This one you got like blue, green, and then kind of like an ambery orange going on at the top edge. Mostly green here at the top. Yeah, so I guess that's it for my Scepter show and tell. Going to be making some buttons that are very similar to these to accompany it, and I think it would only be appropriate to flame them rainbowy in the same kind of manner, right? The colors won't be quite as varied because it's such a small surface, but we'll go for this same color range. Keep it matching. I'm excited. And really, like, extremely grateful. Thank you so much. Everyone watching, thank you. I will see you in the next one.